Hey, good morning, Kim.
Morning. How's it going?
Pretty good. How about
Yeah.
yourself?
Same. Happy it's Friday, even though it was a short week.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Hey, I'm all right. How are you?
Not bad, thanks. I think I saw actually Alexis schedule a separate meeting with me, but she's planning on coming, I think, to this one too, right? As far as you
I
know.
think so.
Okay, cool. And yeah, okay, so static logo at the top, that's good. That'll make things a little
That'll make things
simpler.
easier. Yeah.
Yeah, it just, yeah, reduces the complexity of the setup. So cool. All right. Yeah, that sounds good on that. Anything else you want to go over with the template stuff or
Yeah.
no? Right. Okay. So then if you'd like, I can get started and we can just kind of brainstorm a little bit about what I've got to show you and Alexis can join whenever.
Kim, that's your call.
Yeah, she
Oh,
should
she's here.
be okay.
She's here. Yeah. Just maybe
I
I
know
should just
she's helping with the route on the island.
gotcha.
I'm
Hey,
here.
Alexis. Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. So yeah, I just wanted to, like I said in the email, we've made some developments on this. It's come quite a ways since I showed it to you when it was just this pipeline app where just as a reminder, what we had before is you can put the YouTube URL in, agenda, and then transcript and manually process this video to create well, you already had the transcript, but then to create this topics and subtopics outline and then to create the summary based on the outline. And then we had this option to copy to the clipboard, and then you could go paste it as an article on the site. So it's pretty labor intensive. The big update here is that we've got it so that it can be almost 100% automated. Actually, it'll turn that whole process into pretty much just one click. So, and then you could at the output would be a draft summary, so it's not live on the site. You can just go look at it. You can use that information for your own reporting, or you could publish the summary right there if you wanted to just share that. But the other thing that we've changed is it's no longer in this forward-facing app. It's now in a plugin on the back end. So we could turn this on for St. Ignace and Mackinac and restrict access to it if you want. That would be one way for us to start testing this. That there's a couple of ways we can approach this, but let me just show you now what this interface looks like. If you go into the public meetings, what you're going to have, if I look at all public meetings, is just a list from all the different YouTube channels that I've subscribed to. So you'll only really subscribe to one or two, I imagine, because we got the Mackinac City Council, and then maybe there's other like school boards that we could do, but that's the only one that I've found there so far. And then for Mackinac, we'll have to take those recordings that you get, Alexis, and put them on YouTube as a video. And then it would just feed right into this. If you could just take that step of uploading the recording with just like, you could just create a simple video in iMovie. It doesn't actually need to be a video, but it needs to be on YouTube for us to be able to process your meetings like you've been doing with Otter. And then, you could continue using Otter and compare the results, or you could just use this for your summaries. Okay. But yeah, let me back up a second and just show you the meeting channels. There's really just like these two plugin areas that you'd be working with is public meetings and then meeting channels. Been doing a lot of testing for like tons of channels in Utah, but this is where we would upload, any city council or, school board channels that there are. And then it's pretty cool from here, really. I'll go back to the public meeting screen. So the way that I've been testing this is so the reason it's not fully automated yet, we're very close to having it so that it's just you don't have to do a thing and it will go through, process the video, create a summary, draft. But we have an issue with the queue in YouTube right now. So basically we can't automatically pull the videos. So then all that you would need to do is come in and click process now on the latest video. And you guys only have meetings every 2 weeks, I think, in St. Ignace. Okay, so yeah, just after the meeting at some point, you'll want to come in here and just hit process. And then what it's going to do is basically that same thing that I was showing you earlier that we do manually, or that we did manually. It's just going to be doing this in the background. So it's a very similar thing where first processes your transcript, then it creates topics, but this one's in the middle of processing. So I'm not going to really look at it. I'm just going to let it kind of go. And so sometimes this is something that, well, does happen. If it's a very recent video, if it just came out within a few hours or the day before, sometimes it has an issue processing the transcript. So you may see that. We're working on fixing that. But if I go back and did like a video, like maybe, a day or two old here, we shouldn't see that problem. But here's the thing. You can reprocess it. You can always reprocess it, or you can go into the editor and kind of push it through manually. But I'm getting too much into the weeds. That's just kind of a minor bug right now. Let me just pause here. What do you guys think? Any questions on this? Does it make sense so far? Cool. So yeah, I mean, like I was saying, I think the next step would be to enable the plugin on, we could do both the Michigan sites, and I could come in here and do a lot of this for you, kind of help you at first and keep things processed and make sure that it's, these little bugs that are popping up, we can just get through them. But then eventually it should just kind of run on its own. And then you'll just get that feed of those summaries every 2 weeks. Yeah.
So, Alexis, and Kim, do you feel like we should just restrict this on the back end of the website to right now to the three of us having access to this? Or do you want everybody to be able to see it on who has back end access, meaning, if Eric's putting something up, or Caleb, or anybody on my team?
Eric is probably the most likely to use it.
Okay.
So I think he should have access to it.
Okay. Then let's just put it there. Hopefully nobody goes into that area of the website if they don't know what they're working on. So just enable it on the back end of both websites.
Sure.
And
Everyone has access. Okay.
and then do we have to load the channels in that are coming in?
No, I'll do it for you if you want up front. And then, if you want to know how to do it, it's very simple. I mean, you go into meeting channels and then
Add a new channel.
add a new channel, and then you just need the YouTube link for
Link.
yeah. I'll show you like just an example. It's really not.
It's kind of like when you're doing a Facebook poll and the Facebook posts are inside the WordPress site with the plugin. It's just connecting it that way, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I actually didn't show you this part. This is the Our Hometown YouTube channel. And so I'm processing everything we put up. And you can see this is what it looks like when it's done processing. It says completed. But so you could come into the meeting channel and look at it that way. There's a bunch of different ways you can slice it. You can look at just like your queue of meetings or just this one channel. And here's the cool thing. I think what we would probably want to do is set it to auto create articles, but set it to draft. I've been just publishing them on this test, but we can auto create articles. We can't use this option yet, auto process videos. That's what I was saying earlier. That's why we need to manually process still. It gets jammed up with the YouTube API. So we're working on that, but that's going to be an option soon. So then you won't even need to come in here. You'll just have draft articles appearing, and the articles appear in the same place as all the other articles, just to be clear. They become like a newspaper article. It's kind of interesting the way the engineers set it up. Like they have this new post type for public meetings. This is like a completely different entity. It's just a new post type. So it's very flexible with what we can do with it. There's no restrictions there because it was kind of built from scratch. Let me see here. What else was I going to show you? Any other questions right now?
Alexis,
No,
do
I
you
don't.
think the draft, like auto creating the draft articles, will be helpful for the turn time that you would like on meeting stories? Or do you think that would add any confusion for Eric?
If Eric uses it, it's like a transcript, so he doesn't have to write it out himself.
Mm-hmm.
right now he's recording it with a little device and he's writing out the transcript by hand. So, I mean, if he uses it,
I mean, is it, do you want it to be like the requirement that this is how we're going to process the public meetings that we have available?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't understand what the, like, are we trying to post the, like, what, I guess Kim and Elisa, like, what do you want these to be used for besides like Eric using it as like automatic transcription to help with his reporting? Do you want these posted as articles? Do you want them like up on the website in the raw transcript form? I mean, what are you guys looking for from these?
So I think Payson's, he's got a drive for you that he wants to see more information on the website from your team. I think this is one way that if for some reason you guys don't make a meeting or you don't have a rep there, if you've got the right channels loaded for the counties, you can expand the counties you are covering in. You can set it to an auto draft, and then once a day, or say, public meetings are on Tuesday nights, when you come in Wednesday morning, go in, look at the drafts and publish them. And maybe we have a category, maybe we add a category to the website that says, meetings, or meeting notes or local meeting notes, and and then it's just there for somebody. But this gains you the ability to have more posts up on the website with more information, gaining more traction, meeting that 24/7 news cycle without having to have somebody there every single minute of every single day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think for Eric's purposes, he could use it so that it's already transcribed into the story he's working on. But then you can also use it in addition to that to add more places that you are going to be able to cover meeting
Yeah,
notes
like
for.
Yeah, like we can't get to Sheboygan or the Sioux,
Correct.
but this would, if they have this,
Yes.
Available for us, it's something that we could do. Not necessarily every single one, but would give us that opportunity. I would shy away from posting anything directly as meeting minutes because the city pays us as an ad to do that, and I don't want to lose it.
Okay. But we could take the transcript, couldn't we, and post that? Are you talking about that when you say the city, are you talking about the city of Mackinac?
No, St. Ignace pays us.
Oh, okay. So you're saying don't do it for St. Ignace, but you could do it for Sheboygan. You could do it for the Sioux. You could do it for some of the other ones.
Yeah, the places we're not already getting revenue from, but we'd like to gain traction on. I just don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul, in a sense.
So so that would be the reason why I would have them set to be drafts, and then have it be like, if that there's a meeting, just have somebody, a human, review the data before we post it online to make sure that there's no errors in it. But that gives us coverage in more areas without having to necessarily set a reporter to transcribe it the entire time. And, we're posting more often.
Right. My concern is that if anything were to say like, oh, here's basically the entire transcript of the meeting, that the city would no longer give us the cash.
We can just either not post those, leave those in draft mode when those come through, because remember, there's a human that is going to actually do the posting. So that would be like an internal team thing. Or if there's nothing that we want from the city, if we can remove those from a channel from St. Ignace, and not have it pull in from the city. I don't know if on that channel, if there's more things that we would still want to post, or if it's all of it that we just would not want to post whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be, we'll have to work out, the kinks.
This brings up, an issue that I noticed. The city council seems to be taking down old videos. I don't know why. I've never seen that, but yeah, St. Ignace, they are only allowing the public to view the most recent city council meeting.
My guess is that they didn't purchase whatever kind of license they need in order to have.
Well, YouTube by default should just leave your videos up because they want the content. I don't know why. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe there is some weird setting that I've never heard of, but that's just something I noticed, and it will be a problem unless we get a copy of those videos. When we have ways to do that, but see now
Mhm.
this old meeting doesn't really work. I mean, we've captured this summary and it's an article, but the timestamps don't work, so it's not as good.
So, but even if we were to initiate the process and we
Right.
had all of the meetings and we'd at least still have those transcripts, even if they took
Absolutely.
the video down. So
Yeah.
that's a saving grace in and of
Right.
itself.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, you've got
Yeah,
everything. The full
that's strange
transcript.
though, that they would go to
I
private.
I actually haven't seen that yet. Yeah, in all the cities I've looked at. So it may just be an error, and I don't think it was always like that. But you know what? Now that I think about it, when I stumbled across the channel, I was like, "Oh, they just started posting." But this is why, because
Mhm.
it looks like that.
I
Yeah,
wonder if their settings when they upload is like
yeah,
a
probably
only
private.
only 30-day, like they
Yep,
have it set to so I
yep.
wonder if they even know that's happening, Kim. I
Right.
wonder if we should mention it to them.
Yeah, we could. I mean, Eric
I was
goes to all those meetings, so
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that, like, since you guys have the connections there, that makes perfect sense. If these were just live, then we wouldn't have to worry about it, and it would work as intended because it's YouTube stuff is supposed to be up there forever. This is
Right.
very unusual.
And
Uh,
with a city like that, they would want
right.
the documentation up there
you'd
for
think
That's the
some
point of it.
right?
Yeah, that's
you
why I
would think.
figured there's something off here. Yeah, so there's that, but I guess I was looking at this to see. They do post to other things here, just kind of like stuff about wrestling camp, police department. Not a whole lot. So there's not going to be much coming through here other than city council meetings.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you can either, Kim, that'll be your discretion with Alexis,
Mhm.
how you guys want to do that. But I think I would, at least in the short term, I would set all of these to go to draft, have it pull in, have Matt
Yep.
help us organize the channels.
Yep.
And then if we feel comfortable in a time period and you want them to just post straight through after they get uploaded, we can do that, but I wouldn't make that change right now. I'm sure you guys all have read the story about the
Oh,
King's
the book
feature.
list.
Yeah, the book list from King's Feet. Have you heard this, Matt?
I don't think so. No. I think.
So yeah, so one of the syndicates that we actually use, we use
Oh,
King's feature for our puzzles and our all sorts of things. They had a writer write a story about 15 books to read this summer, the summer reading list.
yeah.
And it went out to all of the newspapers through the syndicate feed. And it was the Chicago
Yeah. Yep.
and Washington
I
or
I remember Chicago specifically.
Chicago. And then for some reason, I want to say it was another really big publication up in the Eastern Peninsula is what I feel like it was. I'll find the article and send it to you. They published them. And lo and behold, the writer used AI to write the story. And while all the authors in the story are real authors, only 5 out of the 15 books actually exist, and AI created the other 10 books.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Hallucinated.
it
Mhm.
hallucinated. And the writer has since fallen on the sword, said I was trying to meet quota and I used AI and I didn't check it.
Oh
And I'm
my God.
sorry. And he has been fired.
Yeah.
And it is big news because it just went straight on through and published straight, and it hit 2 big newspapers out there. And
Mm,
so now it's like you can't trust journalism anymore because of and so
wow.
here yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
really feel like when we're using all of this automated technology, we need to have a set of human eyes that are looking at
Mhm.
it before we kind of post and move through if we
Right.
can.
Right.
Alexis, I know you had another question when we were talking about the meeting coverages.
I was just gonna ask if if Sault Ste. Marie and Sheboygan put theirs on YouTube, and I just checked and they do. So, but the ones in our coverage area that don't, we'll still have to cover as we have been.
Yeah. Could you maybe send me give me an idea of your coverage area? I mean, I know you mentioned Sheboygan and one other town. I could, look into.
Sheboygan and Sault Ste. Marie.
Okay.
Those two are like far ends of the coverage. And then
Okay.
St. Ignace, we cover Clark Township
Okay.
and Moran Township. We don't attend like any like meetings in Pickford or Engadine just because they're too far away, but I highly doubt those ones post on
Mhm.
YouTube.
Gotcha. Yep.
What about the village of Mackinac City?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
Villages are sometimes, yeah, they're kind of a little bit less with the time, but who knows? The other thing is just for future, I don't think it makes sense to start this way. We might as well do the lowest hanging fruit, but maybe at some point we're looking at ways to scrape the city council sites because I think at a minimum not at a minimum they do nothing, but sometimes they will not post it on YouTube, but they will post it on their website. And maybe at one point we could capture those on YouTube and put them on like our YouTube channels for them. I don't know what you think about that, but it's maybe a
So
way to
can,
expand.
if we were to have an audio file, could we
Yeah.
upload
Yeah.
and have it still do the same thing?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the
Okay.
plan with Alexis because all that we need is the audio, really. It doesn't even have to be a video because it all works off the transcript.
So for that, I'm just trying not to create a lot more
Hmm.
work for myself.
For sure.
And I have to go to the meeting, record it, write it. And so I'm just wondering what the benefit or purpose of putting that recording into a video and then doing this. I mean, because I have to write the story anyway, and I have the transcript through Otter. So I just want to know what we want to do with it.
Right. So yeah, I feel like actually if I were you, I would probably, just to make it easier with this system, I would just record the video on YouTube live if you could. And or just record it and upload it directly to YouTube.
Okay.
So
And then it
if
would be a
you,
video, but
yeah, so if you, Alexis, what I'm thinking is if you record the same way when you go to a meeting, and then, obviously you have the downtime of driving from the meeting home, and then you're going to have to write it, right? If while you're there at the meeting, you finish the meeting, you just have the ability to upload it to the private YouTube channel that we create for these, that Matt then syncs into the website. By the time you get home, it should already be up there. You should be able to hit process, and then the transcript is there and you can start writing right there on the back end of the website from there.
Okay.
So I know it doesn't seem like it's a lot easier, but if you're training somebody new, a new reporter to do it, and you're taking out, you're having them use the same tools because they're using the website, they're using YouTube. And so whether they're getting the recording or somebody else is getting the recording, the process is still the same. That's all.
Okay.
So like I think, I mean, ideally this would be like for Eric and Clark Township, that if we had him digitally record the audio at that meeting and upload it, that by the time he gets back here, that transcript is ready for him instead of it being, like a 3 days long process for him to turn that meeting story.
Yeah. And then you also have all the ones that you can't get to that we're importing in through the feed. So those are the additionals. And then as you build your editorial team and your reporters and your structure and then we can add more people to go out and take these, or more coverage in different areas and different things.
I was just thinking, think about this. It's a lot less skill required to do this now because you just show up. We've even thought about one day like making it possible so that the attendees can just record it, with the phone in their pocket. But
Mhm.
we're not there.
And that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, oh goodness, if there's something going on in Sault Ste. Marie,
Yeah.
Anne could go record it, upload it for us if we needed to, and take a couple pictures, and then we
anyone.
get a story and a coverage. Kim, you could
Mhm.
go and get the documentation. We could hire a freelancer just to go take photographs and record the story, record the transcript that then
Mhm.
we write the story based off of. We wouldn't necessarily need writer. You could have, the interns could, these are
Mhm.
as
Right.
we build it.
Yep, exactly.
Matt, while we have you, the one thing
Sure.
that we haven't emailed and touched on is the press releases
Yes.
portion that we had demoed with you. And so since I've
Right.
got these two on right now and we're
Yeah.
talking about all this,
Right.
what do we need to do to get that capability for
Yeah.
Alexis's team as well.
Sure. Yeah, it's just we're hung up because we need a dedicated email address for it. And
That's
so
what I needed to know.
that's all that we actually need. And yeah, so as soon as we get that, then and it's got to be dedicated, you can't be using it for anything else, then everyone can start sending their press releases to that address and they'll be going into the website as drafts, very similar to this.
Okay, and do I need one for St. Ignace and one for Mackinac, or one combined?
Yes, one for each website.
Okay.
Yeah, if possible. Because
So
otherwise, I don't think it would work.
okay, and then Kim, thinking about the email address here, do you want it to be like press releases? What do we want it to be at, St. Ignace, at Mackinac? Because ideally what will happen is, the editorial team will get in a press release that they think is worthy of putting up on the website. They'll forward it to this email address. And in forwarding it, just like when a new video posts to a channel on the YouTube, it'll populate a draft of the story so that then Alexis and her team can go in once a day and schedule those to get posted. So clearly all we're doing is trying to give you guys more ability to quickly put news up on the website instead of it, and create more room to do the long form stories and some of the others.
So with this email address, is this just like in-house email, or is this something that we would then be giving to other people?
So that's going to be your call, because if you give it to other people, then all of a sudden we could be flooding the website with a whole bunch of draft articles on the backside. And I don't see that as being good for us. There might possibly end up being a lot more that we'd have to do, at least if we controlled what is going up to this email address. And we know that the majority of those stories are going to get posted.
Yeah. Alexis, what's your opinion on what the prefix of the email would be?
It doesn't really, I mean, if it's just in-house, it doesn't really matter. We could just do press. I mean, the Mackinac Town Crier doesn't have like a news saintignace.com address, so that one would be brand new. So what's that?
Do you want one for the Town Crier? A news?
I mean, it could.
You think about that and let me know. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally if we were to do this and if we have to have one for each, doing press at St. Ignace News and press at Mackinac Island Town Crier would make the most sense, so it's consistent.
Okay. All right. So I will get those set up. And then Matt, do you think I have to have an actual email account through GoDaddy, or do you think I could create a shared inbox on the back end that Alexis and myself have access to through our main GoDaddy account?
That I'm not totally sure. I think it needs to be just not like a shared, but I can double check on that. Okay.
Can you double check? Because
yeah, is that easier to do it?
So the shared inboxes are free for us.
Okay.
Versus if I have
shared.
Yeah, it's a GoDaddy shared inbox. Whereas if I have to create an actual inbox that exists with a password to log into. So that's the difference. With the shared, it doesn't get a password. With the non-shared, it does. And so if I have to create the non-shared, we pay for the email address for the year. So that's all the difference.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I'll double check. I believe you are gonna have to have separate passwords, but I'll double check.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me know and I'll get those over to you. And then Alexis, I know this probably seems very overwhelming right now with all the change all at the same time, but I'm hoping that what we're doing is giving you tools that eventually will make your job easier to hit the goals that Payson is tasking your team with.
Yeah, me too.
I know. Is there anything I can do right now? I can see she's like, just let me go so I can go work.
Yeah, kind of. I've got 6 stories to write.
All right. I don't think I have anything else. Matt, do you have anything else for us?
Nope, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate everyone's
All
time.
right.
Looking forward to working with you on this.
Okay. Thanks, Matt.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.